Good morning, my brothers and sisters. On this episode number 175, welcome, guys. You are not hearing Lucas. Lucas is out today because he's got a little bit of the COVID.
A little bit.
So you got us three. And who's us three? Me, myself. I am Patrick Novosel, the judge, jury, and executioner of fake news. To my left and your right, it is the guy who's got music in his heart, Doctor Who on his brain, and maybe a little La Coretta in his old estomago, Marc Boucher.
I got Moon Knight on the brain tonight.
Ooh, Moon Knight, Moon Knight. Yes,
We'll
will
talk about that.
probably. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. And on the other side of him is the volleyball beast of the East, who can make you laugh in 3 words or less, and the guy who's riding high on the Bengals win, Ronnie Johantis. Oh, and he starts
He's
off
muted.
on fire while muted.
Oh man, that just totally missed my Ric Flair woo.
Yes.
Woo.
Oh, man.
Killing it already right off the bat.
Yeah. So before we get into it, I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm going to do housekeeping now. So for us, you can catch us streaming all over the place on twitch.tv/the Good Morning Guys, twitch.tv/Chris the Rock. I think that's it.
Chris the Rock 13.
Chris the Rock 13. All that stuff is in the show notes. Check them out. It's all the links to there. And then yeah. So Ronnie, let's start with you. We got a big show tonight. There's big news that happened out of Microsoft. So, but before we get into that, let's get into what's new news. What's going on with you, Ronnie?
Well, we had our first meeting with the realtor this past weekend. So she gave us a few like little tips, pointers, like some things to move around. A lot of really good ideas actually. One of them is we have a little like kind of landing like on the top. You guys have both been here, but I doubt you really recall. You go up the stairs and there's 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a small like, I don't know, maybe like 6x6 little tiny like landing up there with just a railing. So we're going to turn that into like a reading nook, which is kind of a cool idea. Like we already have a recliner and bookshelf. We can just move, which will make it look really nice.
Yeah.
And then this coming weekend or early next week, they're going to come take pictures. That way we can go ahead and get it listed. So
List it.
the heat is on. I mean, we still have a few things to do. Take some stuff over. We do have the apartment now. I think I maybe mentioned that last time.
So
or did I?
Yeah, you did. So you're riding
did.
high with two
did.
homes.
Yeah. I was always hoping that I had 2 places, except my vacation place is 1 exit down the highway now. So
Not too bad.
Home away from
not
home.
too bad. It's the starter vacation home. So yeah, we're still working on some of that stuff. I haven't really done much new in the gaming world. Still playing pretty much the same games. I have been playing a little more Rocket League again lately. It's fun to kind of get back in the swing of that. On the TV front, I started the Cobra Kai 4th season finally.
Oh, nice.
Actually, I watched I probably watched a couple of them right before this podcast, so I think I'm on the last 2 episodes potentially. Yeah, it is. It's such a fun show. Like it's hard to describe like what I love about it because like to be fair, like the acting kind of sucks like throughout the whole series.
Yeah,
it's the original Karate Kid.
It's high school kids playing, fighting, karate and get into, just high school shenanigans.
I feel like the fact that they made all of that cool though, like that deserves some kind of award.
It works.
It's a very good balance of newness and nostalgia.
Yeah, it is.
That's healthy.
It is just a fun show, man. Like there's a lot of like drama going back and forth, and like I think at least twice every show there's a teenager that makes a stupid teenager decision. You're like, oh, here we go. That's going to cause all kind of problems,
Right.
Everybody's like intertwined together. Like it's just this weird web of stories going on. But it's interesting, man, and it's all building up to this one point, which is I can't wait, honestly, to see how it shakes out. So I'm almost to the end of that.
Nice.
And then lastly, the curse is broken, Patrick. The curse is broken.
What curse are you talking about?
It had been 30 years since the Bengals won a playoff game, and they did
It's
that on Saturday.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It was a big, huge like meme going around where the first text occurred in 1992, and the last time the Bengals won a playoff game was 1991. So if you wanted to let someone know about if the Bengals won, you would have to hear it on the radio or the newspaper the following morning.
Hey, Bengals playoff text about them winning had never occurred.
Yeah. So yep.
Dang.
Yeah, so obviously like it's cool like when you win, and we haven't experienced this that much, especially like in my lifetime of any of my professional teams being good. I can't remember anybody even really winning playoff games. I don't remember when the last time like the Reds won a playoff game. I mean, they had the 1990 World Series, which we were like a part of. I think they won. They won something in '99, maybe.
The Reds won in maybe 2012. They were up 2-0 against the Giants, I believe, and then they lost three.
They lost three straight. Yeah, two like at home.
Right.
Like in the worst possible fashion. Like that's what we're used to, though.
Yeah.
That was easier to handle than this win. Like I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing now. Like it's just bizarre. And like everybody's rooting for the Bengals, and all those people that you're like, all season you're like, huh, like they're giving their takes on Facebook, and stuff, and you're like, this person doesn't know anything. Now all of a sudden we're all high-fiving each other, like it's just great.
It brought the whole city together.
Yeah, it really did.
It's beautiful.
It really did. They are going up against the number 1 seed. They're going up against the Tennessee Titans. But honestly, they might lose, which it would still be a great step forward for us. But man, you never know. Like this quarterback we have, this Joe Burrow guy, and Jamar Chase, this other new guy. Like, man, these guys can flat out play.
I think on any given Sunday, the Bengals really have played their best ball against the better teams in the NFL this season.
I agree.
So when they are playing against the Tennessee Titans, I really think they have a really, really good shot. I don't know what the line is, but I'm sure Tennessee is favored, but it's not by much. It's got to be like
it's not.
Points.
I think it's pretty slight, actually.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a good game. So this Saturday, another 4:30 Saturday afternoon game. Really.
Did I hear something about Derrick Henry coming back? By the way, is that a thing?
I'm pretty sure he's back. Yeah.
Man, that's like us just getting a bus and painting a number on the side of it, throwing the ball in, and let it drive down the field. Like that's rough. That's rough. Hopefully he's out of practice. But yeah, no. Obviously, we spent the weekend celebrating. I was wearing like my Bengals gear all weekend, and for some reason, when I started doing this podcast, I put on a red hat. I don't know.
You're so excited. You're like, I'm just gonna put on a Cincinnati hat.
Honestly, I felt like I was getting too far away from myself. Like I had to reel myself back in with a little bit of misery, so I decided to wear this Reds hat. This is what it is. I wanted to go back to the normal, comfortable.
I don't understand what this winning feels like. This is weird.
Why does my stomach hurt? So yeah, that was pretty much my weekend though. Nothing crazy.
All right,
Mark, what about you?
It's been a week. It's been quite a week.
A week.
Indeed. So this past week, in terms of life stuff, and what I've been watching and things like that. So we didn't get to talk about it very much last week because I think we had our improv episode last week. But so I grandstand this every 6 months when they put a show on. So Games Done Quick did their what's called their Agdq, or Awesome Games Done Quick. It's usually at the beginning of the year, and then they do their second event, which is Summer Games Done Quick, obviously in the summer. But Agdq was this week, and if you're not familiar with what it is and haven't listened to me talk about this on the show, it's basically an entire week-long marathon of people speed running video games, trying to beat video games as quickly as possible, exploiting glitches, trying to get out of bounds and trying to save as much time as possible to beat the game as quickly as possible. And it's a whole bunch of different games. And these are like the best of the best in terms of the speedrunning community. And they do it all to raise money for charity. This year it was for an organization called the Prevent Cancer Foundation. which I mean, they do. It's right there in the name what they do. They do a lot of research and ways of trying to bolster preventative methods of preventing different cancers. This year was absolutely fantastic. There were some great runs that I very much enjoyed watching. There was they did an Ocarina of Time 3D, or no, not Ocarina, Majora's Mask 3D run that was awesome. They did a Hades run that was great. They had
How
several.
fast was the Hades run? Do you remember?
I think they did it, and they did a race actually. It was called an all weapons race. You literally had to acquire every weapon, and beat the game. I think it was like an hour and a half. That they.
Man, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that they did it, and they had 2 people racing to do it. They did several blindfolded runs, which is fantastic to watch. Several world records were beaten in terms of time. But the biggest deal was they beat their world record for the most amount of money that they've ever raised in an Agdq event, or in a GDQ event period. They raised over $3.4 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's awesome. I absolutely loved watching it this week. I've been trying to catch up on our movie backlog. There have been a few movies that we haven't gotten around to. Well, 2 of them actually just hit on-demand services and streaming services, but we didn't catch them in the theaters. The first one that we actually did watch this weekend was Xiangshi. I hadn't seen that movie since it hit Disney Plus, and that movie is fantastic. I absolutely love that movie. I think they did a great job with telling the story, and presenting it in a modern, I guess, non-racist text, so context, because there are some kind of somewhat racist things about Xiangshi that they kind of had to jettison. But I think they respected it. They respected the material and respected that culture and that heritage. And brought a lot of just great story to the movie. So I'm super excited to see what they're going to do with Shang-Chi in the future. But the other 2 movies that I need to work on that
whoa, hold on. What is your rating for Xiangshi?
I'm going to give this 9 out of 10 dragons.
Okay. 9 out of 10. All right.
Yeah. It was a great movie. I very much enjoyed it. The other 2 that I haven't watched yet, that we need to work on, is, and I know everybody's poo-pooing it, or and giving mixed reviews about it, but I want to watch Eternals just for the sake of saying I watched it and trying to gather my own opinion about it. So may I not like it? Yeah, possibly, but I still want to try to give it a try anyway.
Form your own opinion.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Ghostbusters Afterlife. I have not watched that yet, so we need to.
All right.
Yeah, so we need to. We're saving Eternals for last. So at least got Shang-Chi down this weekend, which was awesome. And let's see. And we also, on Saturday, I think I shared a little bit about this on the improv episode. So a couple people in my wife's family ended up getting COVID around the Christmas holiday. And we were supposed to have Christmas Eve at her grandparents' house, and that didn't happen. So we ended up postponing it to this past Saturday. So that was really weird. It's January, I think it was the 15th, and I'm walking in and they have all their Christmas decorations up and everything like that, and we're exchanging gifts and things like that, and I'm like, this feels so weird.
Middle of January.
Yeah. But no, it was a great time. Funny story. So every year we do a Secret Santa we exchanged names with people in the family. Of course, secret. That's the secret part of Secret Santa, if you didn't know. Well, I drew a particular family member's name, but that particular family member was not present when we drew the names, and so I didn't know what he wanted for Christmas, because we went around saying like, hey, what would you want for Christmas? So we have a dollar limit of what you can get, but yeah, it's like, hey, what do you want for Christmas? And that particular individual was not there. So I went for a good month, and I'm like, well, and then things got postponed, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure I'll figure it out, and I'll get whatever for him. Well, it starts getting closer to the date, and I'm like, hey, so I drew a certain person's name. What does he want? And my sister-in-law sent a list, and he was not on the list. So it's like, okay, what am I supposed to get him? And then I reached out to my in-laws, and I'm like, so here's my problem. And I come to find out, so my wife's grandmother told some other family members who live in a complete different state that they had this person, when I know for a fact I drew his name. And so he already had a present.
No, does someone not get a present?
So I was thoroughly confused. Yeah, so apparently someone was left out of the drawing. That we basically have an early, like an age, like the earliest age you can enter into the Secret Santa, which I think they said was 13. And this particular girl, she's one of my wife's second cousins. I can't remember. But yeah, she just turned 13, and so she's
so it was her first time in the Secret Santa?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, thankfully, the nice thing about it is another family member covered a gift for her, so she got something. But she was the one that was missing from the drawing. So I bought a $25 gift card, and I'm like, okay, whoever's missing, I'm just going to give them a gift card. But that person was completely out of state, so I ended up giving myself a $25 gift card.
Of course you did. Merry Christmas to me.
Yep. I gifted money to myself. But no, it's pretty sweet time. Good food, good hang. Got some nice button-up shirts, which I needed, seeing as I'm kind of lacking in the clothes department, seeing as I've lost weight. But yeah, it was a great time for sure. And on the gaming side of things, so obviously I played Apex this past week. I think that was with you and Justin, Pat. We played, I think it was last week we did that.
I think so.
Yeah. Got a couple wins, which was nice. And then this past Saturday, I finished the Legend of Zelda NES on stream, which was awesome. And I am so glad, even though I have a fond appreciation for that game, I'm so glad to be done that game, because that game gets really brutally difficult at times.
Yeah.
And there's a limitation to how much you can move. You can't move diagonally at all. And so trying to avoid enemies and enemy attacks and things. And plus the game is super stingy with giving you life, like giving you health, and rupees to be able to buy health. So yeah, that can be a nightmare sometimes in that game. In the later dungeons and things like that. But we got it done. Beat the game. So we're moving on to The Adventure of Link, Zelda 2, this next weekend on the Good Morning Guys Twitch channel. And then last night, I finally broke into Halo Infinite, the campaign of Halo Infinite. And I think I'm about an hour and a half in, and I'm like, this feels like home. This is the Halo that I've been looking for. The last Halo, Halo 5 Guardians, was kind of iffy. just because they brought this completely new character that you really didn't care very much about, and you were that character for like 75% of the game, I think, something like that. And it was just kind of iffy. But no, you are the chief in this game, and the game
That's the way it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks beautiful, and it's fun. It's very much Halo. I'm only about an hour and a half in, but I'm interested in keeping it going. And Ronnie, you're muted.
That's good that I didn't interrupt you because I thought we were just going to talk right over each other. That intro scene, though, to the campaign is awesome.
Yep.
That scene is really awesome.
Yeah, they outdid themselves with that one. It's just really weird because the pilot that I think it's Echo 216, I think is that guy's name. The pilot is voiced by the same guy who plays Octane on Apex Legends. And so it's really weird, and I keep wanting him to say to ride aboard the Octane, baby. And it's really weird, but no, it's great so far, and I'm really having a fun time with it. So, and I think that is it for me. Pat?
Yes.
How was your week, sir?
Yeah, my week was pretty light. Other than the Bengals winning, we already talked about that. My wife is finally getting over COVID. So
Nice.
She's had COVID for the past 2 weeks. She went through the whole gamut of fever and chills and aches and tiredness, and she lost her sense of smell and taste and all that stuff. And over this past weekend, she was finally getting her sense of smell and taste back.
Yes.
So she is. I think it was either today or yesterday. I know it was yesterday. She worked out for the first time in over 2 weeks. So if she's working out, then she's feeling a little bit better. So that's good. So because she had COVID, there wasn't really much we were doing other than just hanging around the house, playing games and board games, hanging out, do the family time, and things like that. So the wife and I sat down and we watched this show on Peacock. It's a Peacock original. It's called Wolf in Me.
Oh,
and
yeah, with
it is
Isla Fisher and Josh Gad.
Yes, that's the show. So for those who don't know, this is a show where Isla Fisher is a werewolf, and it's Josh Gad, and he has a daughter, and his wife has passed away, and he's passed away like 5, 7, 8 years ago, something like that, and he's never really gotten over it, and his whole life is for his daughter, and he's never gone out and sought like love before. So Isla Fisher comes into the scene, and they hit it off real quick, and they just have that chemistry with each other. But she doesn't let anyone know that she's a werewolf, and she just like, it's like 5:30. The sun's still gonna set at like 6 o'clock. She just like jets off. She runs away, even in mid conversation, because she needs to get home. And it's just a really cool like different premise of the werewolf story, and it is like it's a serious show, but with Josh Gad and Isla Fisher, I mean, it's funny to a fault. So it was fun. It's 6 episodes. Each episode's about 28 to 30 minutes.
That's not bad.
And the wife and I watched all 6 episodes back to back. I mean, it was
nice.
We just binged it one night, and because we weren't doing anything, so we watched it, and it was a solid show. So solid. Because we watched it the day it came out. Like the day it came out, I saw the trailer in the morning, and I was like, "Hey, Mel, is this something you want to watch?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, that sounds interesting." And then we watched it that day.
Wow.
I had not heard anything about it before then, so it was good. If I were to rate it, it was a solid 9 out of 10. Like it was really, really good. And it's a Peacock original, and the only reason I have Peacock is because I have the WWE network, which I get Peacock for free.
Oh yeah,
so that's a whole other thing. So
nice.
Yeah, that was fun. On the gaming front, I started Resident Evil Village.
I saw that.
Yes, this game is the continuation of Resident Evil 7. This is Resident Evil 8?
It is. Yep.
I don't. Okay, yeah. So Resident Evil 7, it was a continuation of that, and you're tasked to be you're this guy named Nathan Winters, or I can't remember his
I
name.
think that's
really.
Yeah.
It. And
Ethan Winters.
Ethan Winters. That's right. Ethan Winters. And so I've only played maybe a few hours of the game, but this game is absolutely nothing like any of the other Resident Evils. Like from Resident Evil 1 through 6, Revelations, all those, the remakes and all that. This is a first person. It's non-VR, as far as I know. It's non-VR. And you're going through this, like, it's this muted scenes of color and things like that. It's in like the winter time, like the fall, like winter time, where it's just like there's some snow on the ground and then it's just like dark and gray and cloudy. And it's like that. It's like out on the outside, and then you're on the inside, and it's like the Resident Evil 1 Spencer's Mansion, where you're in some sort of mansion, and you're going around, and there are zombies, the quote unquote zombies, but there's a lot of puzzles in this game.
Oh,
and it's really cool.
Nice.
They're like it brings it back to the survival horror where you only get like a few, ammo for your handgun, or you find a shotgun where you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. So it's fun in that respect, but this game is ridiculously unbelievable. Like, it is so unbelievable that like sometimes you suspend your disbelief just for the fun of the movie, fun of the game, fun of a book, whatever.
Yeah.
To suspend your disbelief in some of these scenes are ridiculous, and when they're compounded on top of each other, I don't even know how Ethan is alive.
Oh yeah.
It makes no sense. So let me give you 3 examples of the many examples of how Ethan gets hurt.
Spoilers for Resident Evil 8.
Spoilers, if you don't this has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
At all. This has everything to do with the small 3 parts of the game where Ethan gets hurt. And I won't tell you the context around it. I will just tell you what's happening. There is one scene where Ethan comes across this big, like 9-10 foot giant who's got a huge mallet, like a Shao Kahn mallet from Mortal Kombat.
He's like a troll.
Yeah, dude, it's huge. And he just like swings downward and hits Ethan, and he falls to the ground. I'm like, how did that not kill this guy?
I'd have crushed him.
Like, yeah, he just gets back up and starts running. I'm like, and he makes some sort of comment like, oh man, who is this guy? Like, he doesn't even acknowledge that he just got hit.
Oh man, that tickles.
Mallet. I know, that's what it was like. So then the second part, I might get these out of order, but the second one is you come across some enemies, and these enemies have these like sharp hooks, and they dig one hook into the back of one of them's knee, of Ethan's knee, and starts dragging him. And then the other enemy grabs another hook and puts it in the back of his other knee, and then they start dragging him throughout the house.
Ooh.
And I'm like, he won't be able to walk, and he's just like, no, ho hum, like it's he's like, where are you taking me? I don't know what's happening, like nothing, like you're killing me, what, stop it. He doesn't say any of that stuff. And then the third one, he gets hooked up, like these hooks, these hooks, the sharp hooks, they take out of his arms or his legs, and they throw it in the middle of his palms, and he's hanging by them. And then they leave the room, and he just yanks his hands down.
Ooh.
And just huge gashes between his middle finger and his ring finger for both of his hands. And he's just, there's this thing called chem fluid, and I don't know what is in this chem fluid, but he could just pour it on his hand, and it feels better.
Does it fix his hand, or is it just like hide the pain?
I don't know. Well, okay, so I tell you these 3 things. This 4th thing is it's a slight spoiler.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the story. It's just, and this is only like the first like 10% of the game. Like there's like 4 bosses, and I've gotten past the first boss. So, okay. And this is all before. This is all before the first boss. This is all before the first boss.
Okay.
And so there's a point where like, oh, I need to get past this door, and there's a handle, and all you need to do is put the handle and bring it down. Grab the handle, bring it down. So when he grabs the handle, someone slices his hand off. It just like slices, just like it stays there. He's like, I'm like, what happened? And all of a sudden, his hand just slides off, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So then he just picks it up, and I'm running around with it, like in my hand. All right, and I can't. I'm like, I'm trying to get out my gun because I'm trying to fight this enemy, and it's not happening. So
because you're missing a hand.
I was like, "What? Just get out your other
details.
Why you're having a hard time getting the gun?
Put
out.
it in your pocket or something. I don't know."
Just imagine like your back pocket, like just your hand is flapping.
You gotta put your hand in the other pocket.
Yeah. So I finally get past this enemy. I open up the door and I get past it. I mean, no. Sorry. I couldn't open up the door because I still had the hand in my other hand.
Details.
So all he does is he gets that same chem fluid, pours it on his wrist, and then reattaches his hand. And it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like I don't this chem fluid is
That's
some
good
magic
stuff.
Like it's not like I was talking to Ed Placencia from Made to the Games about this, and he's like, that's not how biology works. He's like not even close. But other than that, like I say these weird things, these funny things, but this game is fun. This game is really, really fun. So far I can see why it is it was in nomination for the game of the year last year. I can totally see that. So no rating yet. Well, I'll have to wait till I finish it. Give that rating. Well, go ahead.
I just said 10-4.
Yeah. All right. And then so a whole bunch of games came out on Game Pass. So I've talked to Lucas, hooked up Lucas with some Game Pass, showed him all the Game Pass games, and then I started playing this game. I don't even remember what the name is, but it is a 4-picture game, and all you do is move pictures around, and it's like a puzzle game. So as you take a picture off of a picture or pieces of a picture, I don't even know how to explain it. It's really hard. It's like, so like you have a picture and a picture frame. You take the frame off, and now you have 2 pieces. And then on below there's like a picture that has like maybe a circle in the middle of it, and it's blank. You put that picture on top of the other picture, and it creates like a portal. And it's like it's a weird puzzle game, but it's an interesting chill game. It's like Grogu or Galaga. It's something weird like that, but it's a fun little game. And I'm like, man, I was like, there's no shortage of games on Game Pass.
And this just hit Game Pass?
I think it just hit Game Pass maybe a week or so ago.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, I'm playing these rinky dinky games. When are they gonna release a AAA high profile game? And as I'm thinking about that, some big, huge news drops today where Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard. And that's our topic of the show. That's right, folks. We are talking about the biggest news of the decade, the biggest news in maybe the past 20 years in video games, where Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard for almost $70 billion.
Billion.
Billion. Unbelievable. So we had a topic already lined up for tonight, but when this news came out, we had to pivot and we had to talk about this because this has huge implications for Xbox, PlayStation, and the gaming industry as a whole. So to start off, I wanted to read an article on Xbox.com that Phil Spencer wrote himself, and he is the CEO of Microsoft. And it says, welcoming the incredible teams and legendary franchises of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft Gaming. As a team, we are on a mission to extend the joy and community of gaming to everyone on the planet. We all know that gaming is the most vibrant and dynamic form of entertainment worldwide, and we've experienced the power of social connection and friendship that gaming makes possible. As we pursue that mission, it is incredibly exciting to announce that Microsoft has agreed to acquire Activision Blizzard. Over many decades, the studios and teams that make up Activision Blizzard have earned vast wellsprings of joy and respect from billions of people all over the world. We are incredibly excited to have the chance to work with amazing, talented, dedicated people across Activision Publishing, Blizzard Entertainment, Beanox, Demonware, Digital Legends, High Moon Studios, Infinity War, King, Major League Gaming, Radical Entertainment, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Toys for Bob, Treyarch, and every team across Activision Blizzard. Oh my gosh, take a breath. Until this transaction closes, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft Gaming will continue to operate independently once the deal is complete. The Activision Blizzard business will report to me as CEO, Microsoft Gaming. Upon close, we will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, both new titles and games from Activision Blizzard's incredible catalog. We also announced today that Game Pass now has more than 25 million subscribers. As always, we look forward to continuing to add more value and more games to Game Pass. The fantastic franchises across Activision Blizzard will also accelerate our plans for cloud gaming, allowing more people in more places around the world to participate in Xbox community using phones, tablets, laptops, and other devices you already own. Activision Blizzard games are enjoyed on a variety of platforms, and we continue to support these communities going forward. As a company, Microsoft committed to our journey for inclusion in every aspect of gaming among both employees and players. We deeply value individual studio cultures. We also believe that creative success and autonomy go hand in hand with treating every person with dignity and respect. We hold all teams, all leaders to this commitment. We're looking forward to extending our culture of proactive inclusion to the great teams across Activision Blizzard. Around the world, there is no more exciting venue for fun, connection than video games. There has never been a better time to play than right now. As we extend the joy and community of gaming to everyone, we look forward to welcoming all of our friends at Activision Blizzard to Microsoft Gaming. This was, and that's it. That's the end of it. This post right here is just a couple parts in here. It just throws me for a loop of how many people that they've acquired, how many divisions within Activision Blizzard they have acquired. So many games, and they're going to be bringing a lot of these games to Game Pass, and they're going to be bringing new games to Game Pass. It is unbelievable how many games that they're going to be coming to this. Marc, after reading this, after hearing about this, after hearing about it all day, what are your thoughts?
So for my initial reaction was, what? They're flexing that Microsoft money right there, like 70. I think it was $68 billion, so almost $70 million.
Yeah, I think it was valued. It was reported at 68.7 billion, yeah, but I think it was reportedly valued at 75 billion.
Yeah, so that's flexing the big money, which Microsoft's got. They're not just like, Xbox is, one division of like several different facets of Microsoft. They're not hurting for money, but they are so invested in this that they wanted to push that big money to get it as part of their ecosystem. And the big thing is that people have dogged on Microsoft for years now because they have kind of a lack of first party exclusives compared to Sony, that they have some heavy hitter first party exclusive titles. And Microsoft has some, but not near as many as Sony does. And this is how they fix that. By basically acquiring the studios to bolster their portfolio and make it competitive. And I understand that the concerns are there for like, oh yeah, this is Microsoft making a monopoly and things like that. And maybe, I understand the concern, but to me, this is just it's another studio acquisition. Yes, they have many other like studios underneath Activision as a publisher, but it's another studio acquisition. It's another tool in the belt. Sony does this, albeit not on as big of a level. I will concede that. But it's just another studio acquisition in my opinion, and this is good business for them, and it pushes Sony to respond, and it makes the market competitive. Like, Pat, you've talked about like the fact that Game Pass right now is the best deal in gaming, hands down, by far. If you don't think that if you think that Sony's not going to respond to this in some sort of fashion, you're crazy. They will absolutely respond to this. How that will look and what sort of effect will it have on the market, who knows? But they will respond, and that's what makes everything competitive. And so kudos to Microsoft for this. I think this is a huge power play, obviously, but I think it's a good direction for them. And plus, I mean, with all the crap that's been going on with Activision Blizzard, with all the sexual harassment allegations and things like that, and the lack of leadership in that respect, there, is it a little advantageous to kind of grab somebody when they're down? Sure, but hopefully they could maybe turn some things around there. And
I mean, I think with them, going off your point about picking someone up when they're down, kind of thing. I think this was the perfect time for Microsoft to swoop in and say, hey, these people are hurting. Their stock value is super low. Let's get in there. This is the best time to get in while there's a lot of market share, but while the value is good. We're not going to get this deal probably ever. And you got to be kidding yourself if you didn't think PlayStation was looking, or Sony was looking at acquiring Activision Blizzard. You've got to be kidding yourself if you didn't think that was going to be happening.
Yeah.
And I think Microsoft did it, and Microsoft was able to get in and take care of it. What it would look like if Sony had gotten this deal? Who knows? But I think Microsoft's infrastructure and the way they're developing Game Pass over the past year, I think it sets well up for the huge amount of games that are in Activision and Blizzard. So many games.
Yeah.
So many games like Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot. So many games. So speaking of the games that are going to be coming over to Xbox, Ronnie, what do you think about this? Because I know that you were thinking about getting a PlayStation, coming up. And I don't think we were talking about getting a new Xbox. Maybe you did. But how does this change what it is that you're going to be buying in the future?
Well, I was going to buy both. I think I probably still will. I think there's enough games for each individual one where you could justify it. To be fair. And when the reason I was going to get both also is that way, across both channels, basically I could play with, whoever while we're, whatever game it is. But with that being said, I haven't had any experience with like PlayStation Plus. I haven't, whatever their Game Pass is. I haven't had any experience with that, but yeah, like when I first got Xbox, like the Game Pass, I was like, man, this is pretty good. Like this isn't very much money, like, and all these games are out here. And like since then, I don't know how long I've had it now. I guess maybe like a couple of years. But now they're starting to release like brand new games on it. And it's like, wow, the price really isn't changing, but they're providing way more out there. Like it's been fantastic, really. And this just is another thing that's going to make it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
you had said they keep putting games out in Game Pass like almost all the time. You know, one of the games that's coming out this week is Death's Door is coming out to Game Pass, I believe, on Thursday of this week.
Yep.
And it was one of those games that I wanted to try. And this game is coming to Game Pass. And Jared Orr from the Married to the Games podcast community, he is one of those people that believes that Game Pass is a detriment to gaming, because people have that mentality. We're like, you know what? I'm thinking about buying this game, but I'm gonna wait for it to come to Game Pass. You know, you got people who are not putting money into the video game industry. They're only giving the money to Microsoft, and then Microsoft does whatever they need to do with that money to disperse it to the developers and publishers and things like that. But you know, like, is that your mentality, Ronnie, that you're just going to wait for games to come to Game Pass?
So, two things about that. I think, in the way he explains, yes, that could hurt like video game sales. However, two parts of that. Number one, I have definitely played a lot more games than I ever would have played if I didn't have Game Pass.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from my gaming experience before I had Game Pass, I wasn't spending money every month on games. You know, probably not every 2 or 3 months. So from my standpoint, they're getting more revenue from me than they normally would have.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I wouldn't buy that many new games, I think, per year. So yeah, I'm actually, you know, paying more than I normally would have, but I'm just paying for, you know, that benefit. And the fact that new games come out, you know, that again, it's a lot of it is games I probably wouldn't even have, I would have never went out and bought, you know, I would have never went out and played some of these games. So
Yeah.
I guess you could look at it from two different standpoints. You might lose money here, but gain money here. And like, I might not game for 3 months, but my Game Pass subscription is going to keep getting paid, you know? So
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I believe Phil Spencer is going for. You know, he wants, right now he said there's 25 million subscribers to Xbox Game Pass. And this deal that will probably go through, but it's going to take, like, I think I heard 18 months to go through. It's not going to go through until 2023, which really won't, I don't think it's going to affect Activision's Blizzard's ability to have games on both platforms until maybe 2024, maybe 2025. Because, you know, with development and delays and things like that of games, you know, but Microsoft does it differently. You know, so they have games that are Microsoft owned that are also on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So basically with this purchase, there will be a fair amount of scenario where Sony is paying Microsoft for these games over the next few years until that, you know, until anything changes, it's all going to the top.
Depending on the games and how Microsoft decides they want to do some of their exclusivity. Like, in my opinion, I think COD's going to stay multi-platform.
I think it's too big.
Yeah.
It is the number one game as far as sales 13 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of a game that's like bigger that more people consistently play, I feel like, than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. The game's only out for like 2 months before the end of the year. And it is already the best selling game of the year. Every year.
Yeah. It's insane. So,
which is insane because every time I play it, I'm like, I'm never playing this again. You get sniped from 10 miles away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, I quit. This little kid's talking trash already.
It's been a hot minute since I've played an actual Call of Duty game, but yeah, I don't know exactly 100% the ins and outs of how licensing works with that, but yeah, in certain respects, I think, yeah, Sony will probably be paying Microsoft money for that, but you know, it gets people to play their console, so ultimately they'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I was saying, like I don't think all the games that they're acquiring that, you know, Xbox will be putting out, I don't think they'll all be specifically Xbox exclusive. There will be some. I'm sure there will. We've seen that with Bethesda and that purchase. We know that I think at least the Elder Scrolls game and some other game, I can't remember, they said are exclusive. Was it Starfield? Is Starfield exclusive to Xbox?
Starfield is exclusive to Xbox, and I believe those any game that is coming out for the next 18 months, they're going to stay course, and they're going to be coming out either they're exclusive, multi-platform. They're not going to change that. They're still going to be going that route.
Well, because like with Mojang, Minecraft is on so many different platforms, and that would be so to their disadvantage to pull that and be Xbox exclusive. So they kept it. It's on multiple platforms. So I don't think they're going to be completely greedy with this. But, I mean, there will be some exclusives. But I think the one thing about that, and I can't remember who it was that I was talking to. I think it was in the Married to the Games Discord. He mentions, like, I hate the fact that, there was this game that I was going to play, and now it's only going to be on Xbox and things like that. And it's like, well, but if you think about it,
we don't know though.
Well, yeah, and plus, Microsoft has opened themselves up incredibly over the past couple of years.
They want to make money.
Yeah,
they want to make money. If that means that they're going to be putting games on multi-platform, whether that be Sony, Nintendo, PC, whatever, they're going to do that because it makes them the most money.
Well,
they're also going to have this ecosystem within the Xbox community.
Right.
That's also going to be giving them money, because you're going to have people who are going to buy the Call of Duty franchise every single year. And then you're going to have people that are not going to buy it next year, or that were, say 2024. Say that is the year, for example, that Call of Duty is going to be Xbox only.
Yeah.
You're going to have people that are be like, hey, I'm going to try out Game Pass because of Call of Duty. And then you know what happens with subscription? People keep them and they never turn them off.
Yeah,
that is literally a thing.
Yeah.
This is,
even if you don't play.
Yeah, this is their model, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't believe it is evil. I don't believe it's conniving, because they're putting out bangers on Game Pass every month.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think just going back to my point about the discussion I was having, he's like, yeah, I don't like the fact that, I've got to, it's going to be Xbox exclusive, and I just bought a PS5 or something like that, and I don't want to buy an Xbox. But if you think about it, it's not just limited to the box anymore. You can play on your phone, you can play on your tablet, they're working on so where you can actually play on your TV, things like that. You don't have to buy the box. If you have Game Pass and you have something that can play their cloud streaming service, now, granted, you have to have good internet, but still.
Right.
But still, you're not limited to just the box anymore, to the console. They're trying to push out. They just want you to be in the ecosystem. That's what they want. They don't care if you buy a console. They don't ever make profit on consoles. They're always at a loss with consoles. It's on the software.
No one does.
Yeah. So, they just want you to be in their ecosystem. That's really what they want. And so, yeah, I can see the concerns about, just how much of a power move this is, but ultimately, I think the gaming industry as a whole will be fine.
Yeah, and you had mentioned earlier, so this is a little off topic for Game Pass, but the culture that was over at Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you were privy to the entire conversation regarding Activision Blizzard, Ronnie, but there was a lot of sexual allegations of misconduct, hostile work environment where people were leaving and quitting, and they were telling people how life was working for Activision Blizzard, and it was bad. And so there was leaders that left, leaders that just resigned. There was a point where they had two heads of the company. One was male and one was female. After all the sexual allegations had come out and people left, they were like, hey, let's give two new heads. And they had paid the female less than the male. And I don't know how all the inner workings of all that, of how that came to be, but she resigned, and then that came out, and there was negative light on that. And so they were getting thrown through the mud, through all this for all the stuff that the leadership is happening, has been doing. And then Microsoft's like, hey, you have great games, you have great people over at the company. We want to instill our culture. We want to instill our values into this company, and we feel like we can do a good job of that. And if you've ever seen Phil Spencer talk, if you've ever heard him talk, he is a genuine dude. He is one of the coolest guys in video gaming. One of those guys you can just chat with, and one of the guys you can game with, but he also knows his stuff. So I'm really excited to see how they change that and what that looks like going forward. Does that mean there's going to be a lot of delays? Probably. There's probably going to be some delays as this transition happens, for sure, because there's still things that are going on in Activision Blizzard. There's still a lot of turmoil over there. It's not done. I think Activision Blizzard has created this sort of charity or volunteer community kind of thing where they're trying to turn everything around, which is really cool. And all that's going to continue, which is really awesome. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this all turns out and how Sony responds.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're going to respond in kind. I don't think they're going to, because they have PlayStation Now. I don't think they're going to say, hey, we're going to revamp PlayStation Now and we're going to do first party games, for day one. I really don't think they're going to do that. I think they're gonna maybe pump up the games that they have on there, but with the rumors that are surrounding the backwards compatibility on the PlayStation, yeah. I think that's their move. I think if they can bring back the PS2, the PS1, and the PS3 into the PS5, into the PlayStation Now, I think that's their move. I don't think, because their exclusives are so good, I think people are going to buy them, and they're going to buy them in droves, just like they always have.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's rumblings of backwards compatibility with PS3. Sony's working on some sort of, Game Pass, their version of it. Was it Project Spartacus? I want to think that's
Spartacus,
what it's
yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So something's happening. When that's going to happen, who knows? That's up to Sony. Yeah. But yeah, something's happening in response. They're gonna do something.
And I don't. Oh, go ahead.
And ultimately, we win. We win with that because getting the best deals and the best places to play, that's on us. Like we get to reap the benefits of that. There's got to be people like game developers and things like that. Now, granted, Microsoft's been buying up developers left and right, but there's developers like they wouldn't enter into any sort of a partnership for Game Pass and things like that if there wasn't some sort of financial gain from it to be able to. What that looks like on the back end, I don't know. That's behind closed doors, but. No. There's got to be some sort of carrot on the stick for them to be a part of Game Pass and to be part of Xbox's company. So, sorry, continue.
No, yeah. I kind of wanna switch it over to our joiners and their comments on all of this, and then we'll talk about each one because looking at these, they all have good points. They'll have different views and different comments on different aspects of the acquisition. So we're gonna go over to Twitter, and first up is Cast Junkie. He says, "I'm honestly excited to see acquisitions that seem to allow developers to expand. I guess with this, I'm hoping Microsoft will lay a groundwork to get them on an ethical track to a good company culture. Other than that, I hope they allow them freedom." And I think that's what they're going to do day one. They're going to still a different culture. Yeah. I think that that should be their number one priority. They have the games, they have the people, they know what they're doing. I think if the community that they have over at Activision Blizzard and with Microsoft. It all comes from the top down. And like I said, if you ever see Phil Spencer talk, good old P3, he knows how to motivate a crowd.
Yep, sure thing. Yeah, I mean, he turned around Xbox when they were in a very dark place with the Xbox One, and he was able to, goodwill with seeing it. People could see that, yes, he's a businessman, but he's also a gamer, and he understands what gamers want and what the audience is looking for. And so he was able to turn Xbox back into this positive light and very, very much steer the ship out of a mess. And so he's gotten real good at that. So I think he'll do the same thing with Activision Blizzard. How that looks, we'll see. But I think if anybody's gonna do it, I think Phil Spencer's the best candidate for the job. So
next we got Jacob Hallowed Fox Moon on Twitter. He says, I'm cautiously optimistic about the entire situation. Microsoft has been slowly trying to fix themselves and their position in gaming for a while now. Phil Spencer has been good for the company. Blizzard might be actually be able to make games now.
Yeah, that helps.
I know, yeah. Hopefully all the studios under Microsoft will have their issues of abuse looked into and fixed. Don't we all? My main concern is that Microsoft is starting to have too many studios under the umbrella. A sort of monopoly is happening in the gaming space. He goes on to say, and there needs to be competition to drive companies to not always take the easy way out, but also keep each other accountable and make sure that they treat their workers like real people. So he's got a couple things here. He's got the culture, and then he's got the not monopoly. And I kind of want to touch on the monopoly part.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Microsoft this is nearing monopoly, but it is not a monopoly. This is only one company. Yes, they have a ton of great games, but it's only one company. It is like they have a ton of great games that make a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, what about Disney? When Disney bought Fox, when Disney bought Pixar, when Disney bought Marvel, when Disney bought Star Wars?
Well, the question's been brought up for them too, whether they're monopolistic.
But I know there was a lot of like, oh my gosh, Disney is going to run these. They're going to come out with so many things. They're going to run it into the ground. But as a nerd, as a Marvel fan, as a Star Wars fan, the stuff that they're coming out with is just about gold every single time. What stuff they do with Pixar. If Lucas was here, he'd be preaching about the Pixar and what Disney's done with Pixar. And like that is what I hope is going to happen with Microsoft. They're acquiring these companies and they're going to make them better. They're going to put out new things that are going to be so exciting. That's going to make the like you said, Phil knows what the gamer wants. Phil's a businessman. He knows how to make money, but he also knows how to make the gamer happy.
Yeah.
And if you can do both things, then what's the big deal?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it stands to reason with this whole purchase that if you take, for example, Microsoft with a successful, I guess, successful history, at least recent history, like strong leadership, and you then add that to companies that don't have that, but already have a good product, like, we're just going to get better games, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
a lot more money behind them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then go ahead.
I was just going to say, and yeah, I mean, it's like I've said, it's a power move for sure. $70 billion, not anything to,
I think
it's
that
not
was
pocket
like
change,
I think that was the third largest acquisition of all time.
Yeah, something like that. But
what was the first?
It had. Shoot, I can pull that up.
Yeah,
I can pull up what the biggest acquisitions are. But I think they are the third largest company in the world as far as revenue is concerned, behind Tencent and Sony.
I'm so glad Tencent did not buy them. but yeah, yeah, it's a power move for sure. But you know, that's business. That's just business. I don't think they're taking over the whole industry with this move. I think Sony is fine. Nintendo is fine. They will be absolutely fine. Because
I even think Nintendo, to be fair, like I mean, obviously Nintendo is huge, but when you're looking at, I guess, in terms of like Xbox and Sony, Nintendo just kind of stays in their own lane and like does their thing.
Yeah,
and is not like, yeah. I mean, I don't feel like they're really necessarily battling it out. They have a separate.
Sure, and
You know,
and I mean just like gaming as a whole. I mean, Nintendo's going to be Nintendo. They're going to do their own thing, and they're great at doing their own thing. They have a great fan base there that loves what they do. I mean, same with Sony. Sony has a pretty dedicated fan base that, you know, they have quality in all of their products, in all of their studios. So I think we're gonna be fine. It's gaming is gonna be fine. It's not like Xbox is. I saw this meme where somebody posted the scene from Star Wars Episode 3, the whole scene where Palpatine introduces his new Galactic Republic, and they had Xbox and they had Bethesda on the left, and wow, why did I just blank on their name? The Activision on the right. That was awful. And Sony was Padme Amidala. So this is how Liberty dies, with thunderous applause. and I was like, that's funny, but I think it's gonna be okay. We're gonna be fine.
Like you said, when Sony makes a move, how we're gonna benefit from it, like this is literally a move. This is a move right now that we're benefiting from that exact battle.
Right.
Like these two just slugging it out.
Yep. That's the industry. That's how it is. So. But
yeah, I was looking at the largest acquisitions ever for Microsoft. This is their biggest acquisition by a lot. Their next biggest acquisition was $26.2 billion when it paid to acquire LinkedIn. Let's see. There's outside of gaming, Disney paid $4 billion for Marvel. $4 billion. Like in comparison, it is, you know, that is compared to what Microsoft just paid.
Feels like they got it at the dollar store.
Yeah,
right.
That's one movie. That's one movie for Disney. We'll get that back.
Yeah.
And then they also spent about $4 billion to buy Star Wars.
Yep.
Lucasfilm Star Wars. And then I feel it looks like the biggest deal was $73.1 billion that Disney paid to buy Fox TV and all their films and assets and things like that. It looks like it looks like there's other couple ones where the beer giant Anheuser-Busch bought Sab Miller in 2016 for $104 billion. And then AOL's merger with Time Warner was $165 billion. So it looks like they're fourth of the biggest acquisitions of all time. Crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy that gaming made it into like the top 5 biggest acquisitions.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how big the industry is now.
Yeah.
Okay, so also on Twitter, Splig at Dopalicious, he says, I think it's good for Microsoft. Great for Xbox owners, worrisome at worst for PlayStation owners, but terrible for gaming or competition as a whole. It's a bummer for those who can't afford time or money, multiple systems. I would imagine they would release the big games for all, as that would leave a lot of money on the table. And I don't think there's a lot of selling systems once versus annual cross-plat games. Let me still play Diablo, Overwatch, and COD, and we're cool. I think the biggest brain move would be to allow Game Pass anywhere. Curious to see how Sony's Spartacus is shaping up now, because at this point, too little, too late. So I wanna pull out one piece first from Splig when he says there's a lot of people who can't afford to buy all systems. And that was one of my things I had thought about earlier today. Was I have the luxury of having disposable income for my gaming habits, and with that I buy both systems. And when I say both systems, it's Microsoft and Sony. I bought the Nintendo Switch for my son a couple years ago, and that was the first Nintendo system that I bought in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I didn't get the Wii. I didn't get the Wii U. Pretty sure it was the Nintendo 64 was the last one I bought. I didn't even have the GameCube. So I know there's a lot of people like, hey, you know, I only have this amount of money. I need to only buy one console. If you buy Microsoft's Xbox, you get Game Pass. You get all the games that come with it, but you got to have a subscription. With PlayStation, they have PlayStation Now, but it's not really as robust as Game Pass. But they have Mark, like you just said earlier in the podcast, that Sony has exclusives, and they have awesome exclusives. They have God of War, they have Horizon, they have Uncharted, they have Returnal. They have these really, really good games. So which one do you buy if you only have one console? And when you're unsure of which one to buy, that's when you know you have competition.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's why you gotta weigh the pros and the cons. Now, again, back to my point, and I know kind of what Mike was touching on, like, you know, I don't want to buy another system. I think this is the time where they're starting to branch out, especially with their cloud gaming service. They're making it easier to where you don't have to buy the box. You don't have to buy the console. You can cloud game stream it. And so they're kind of breaking down that barrier.
Yeah, and to go along with that, now with Game Pass, you have the ability to install a game from Game Pass. You also have the ability to play from the cloud. And that means that any Xbox Series S or X game that is exclusive to the next gen hardware, you can actually play on Game Pass on the original Xbox One. So, Ronnie, the games that you play, if you want to play the new ones, all you need to do is play it on the cloud, and you have the next gen version. Yes, it's online. You have to have a good internet connection, and there may be a little bit of a lag. So if you wanted to play online cloud with Call of Duty, you may not have the best. May not have the best experience. But if you're playing single player, you're playing side scrollers, or if you want to play something chill like unpacking, you know, playing through the cloud, perfect. Whether that's on your system, on your phone, on your tablet, like Mark said, everywhere. It's amazing. The next thing, he's curious to see how Sony's Spartacus is shaping up. But I don't. When he says it's because it's a little at this point, it's too little, too late. I don't think it is. You know, this is a merger that's going to be happening over a course of 18 months.
Yeah.
And for the transition to happen from the leader at Activision right now to Phil Spencer in 18 months, you know, anything can happen with Sony at that point. They could be like, all right, all hands on deck for our vision of PlayStation Now Platinum or whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah.
Spartacus, whatever it is. They have a little bit of a time.
Yeah.
So I don't think too little, too late is fair.
Yeah.
For Sony.
And we're only a little over a year into the life cycle of these consoles. So I think they've got plenty of time to catch up in this spot. And the race between Xbox and PlayStation, it's tighter, but I think PlayStation still is beating them out in terms of consoles. So I'm not too worried about that in that respect. But yeah, Sony has plenty of time to respond, and I think they're working on it. They're absolutely working on it.
For sure. The last thing Splish says, he's like, let me still play Diablo, Overwatch, and COD, and we're cool.
Yeah.
Like I really don't think they're going to limit themselves to a Microsoft console. Will they come to Game Pass? Sure. I mean, just like Major League MLB The Show last year, it was on Xbox Game Pass, but you could also buy it on PlayStation if you wanted to. I think that's more in line of what's going to happen.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, let's go on to Discord. Humar Whittle. He goes on to say, this is a great move for Microsoft and will continue to make Game Pass the best deal in gaming if the older games will be added. As a PlayStation gamer, the question is, will all future games become exclusive? Namely, next year's COD and eventual Overwatch 2 being exclusive to Xbox PC would be a radical shakeup to the industry. Microsoft showed with Starfield that they are willing to have games that have been in development for quite a while pivot to being exclusives. There is the below quote in the announcement. Activision Blizzard, quote, Activision Blizzard games are enjoyed on a variety of platforms, and we plan to continue to support those communities moving forward, which makes it seem like games will be multi-platform.
Yeah.
But we will see.
Yeah. Like I said, some will be exclusive for sure. But like you were saying, Pat, I think they're still going to have multi-plat games. I don't think they're just going to close the shop.
They'd be losing so many players if they did not have Call of Duty over the PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too big, I feel like.
I agree. Yeah, it's too big. I think they're like Sploik said, they're going to leave a lot of money on the table if they don't allow for multi-platform. And really, I don't think that's Phil Spencer's move. I think he wants to be able to keep the money. He wants to keep that revenue. He wants to be able to sell that, those games over to PlayStation so he can make the money. It makes no sense to keep it there.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be console-less in 5 years.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to look like. All right. Chris the Rock. He says, from a business standpoint, it's probably the best time to buy them while they're in a PR nightmare, which we had talked about earlier. They are saving billions, most likely. Is it ethical, though? Oh, he has a good question. Is it ethical? Will Microsoft have enough leadership to change the culture there? I sure hope so. Think so?
Is it ethical? I mean, yeah, there's some kind of like iffiness there, like we talked about with picking somebody up and taking advantage of a situation while this company is kind of down. But and then I guess that's the negative side of it. But at the same time, like
ethically, you could say they are rescuing that company.
Yeah.
On the other side of that,
obviously,
they're rescuing a company that has all these problems, and they're going to come in and fix it, so that the company itself will then be ethical.
Yeah. And that's what we're hoping. That's what we're all hoping for. Is that much like Phil Spencer has righted the ship of Xbox and given a positive space for them. Hopefully, they can do the same with Activision Blizzard, and obviously that starts with cutting out some of the leadership that are problems, which apparently that is the case. Since sources close to the acquisition have noted that Bobby Kotick, who is the current CEO of Activision Blizzard, his name is part of the issue, apparently he will be leaving once the acquisition is complete. So
yeah, and
it might have been part of the deal, honestly.
Yeah,
I really think I think Bobby Kotick is going to be unless anything else changes over the next 18 months. He's going to be there. He's going to be there, and there's going to be a transition period where Phil's going to be like, okay, well, who are your contacts? Who did you talk to? Who are your people? There's going to be that little transition period, and then it's pretty much a handoff, and then Bobby's out. They don't want. I don't think they want him to be a part of the Microsoft umbrella. Yeah. By any means. So I think he's going to stay, I don't think he's going to be gone tomorrow. It would be surprising if he was. I just don't think that's going to happen for another 18 months.
I think from a legal standpoint, I think they have to leave him there until the acquisition is complete. I could be wrong with that, but I think I read somewhere like he has to be there.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't make any sense for him to leave now unless he resigns because of his horrid past.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised he hasn't resigned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I
whole...
just look at
oh,
maybe I just look at things differently, but I guess the question of whether it was ethical or not for them to buy the companies while they're down. I don't want to say like I only look at it in terms of like a smart business move, but I mean that is business. It is like, I mean, it's just a smart move for them. Like while they're having problems, they look at it as, well, it's cheaper and we think we can fix it. So I don't know. I don't really see it as an ethical thing.
Yeah,
I think it's good that Microsoft had bought Activision Blizzard. I really think it's good because they were a sinking ship. And why would we want these developers, the people that worked over at Activision Blizzard, why do we want them to go down? Then we will lose.
Look at the games behind you in the picture.
Right. There's so many good games. And I think, Phil's like, hey, why don't we grab these before we lose them all, before the gaming community loses them all? Well, let's bring them back up. Let's bring them over to our platform, which is going to be just a plus for them, but it's also great for the gaming community. That's my positive spin on it. Next, you done messed up Ron. He writes, this particular purchase doesn't bother me as I'm not very heavy into any Activision or Blizzard games, but I'm not sure I love the trend of console companies purchasing devs in general. Could crack the door open for more compromises on creativity and quality. There's already a troubling pattern of games coming out in less than finished states because some devs are too reliant on patching and put immediate profits over IP quality. Now imagine that atmosphere plus a console making overlord telling you to hurry up and just get something out because they want to use the buzz from your game release to shift some console units over the holiday season. Like, from a business standpoint, of course it makes sense. I just don't know if moves like this are good for gamers in the long run.
Yeah, I totally understand his point, but I think Xbox and Phil Spencer, they've learned that you can't pull it out of the oven before it's done being cooked. They've gotten burned with some of their first party titles. We're looking at you, Master Chief Collection. They've been burned plenty of times with not letting it cook fully. And so I think they understand, yes, there's incentive in releasing games at a certain time, but at the same time, I think they fully understand they're going to let it release when it's ready, when it's fully ready.
Case in point, Halo.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? We wanted to launch with our Xbox Series X, but you know what? It is not ready. Over a year later, they finally release it.
Yep. And it looks fantastic.
That's their flagship. Yeah, it's their flagship game, and it didn't release.
Yeah, that is.
So
I think what that only time is really going to tell, once we see this whole transaction is actually over, and you can see the influence of Microsoft on these companies. I mean, really, I'd like to think that the games are going to get better, but I mean, you never really know.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Victor Bacon Sullivan, he writes, smart move and great timing, in my opinion. Warzone reportedly makes $5.2 million a day. Insane.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Crazy?
Warzone?
Maybe in like microtransactions and things like that. But I know they've been in trouble recently with Vanguard. I think the company that made that game, I can't remember which one, whether it's Sledgehammer or Treyarch. I can't remember who it was that made Vanguard. They actually had to issue an apology because there's been so many problems with Vanguard. So yeah, even though it's still making gangbusters, it's still in a tough spot right now. And
I mean, it is one of the biggest though, for sure.
yeah, I think the big thing though that people have been mentioning about this is once Xbox acquires Call of Duty, they're talking about the idea of not having an every year Call of Duty release. And doing that, much like Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, the overall quality of the games would get better that way. And so, I think they could benefit from that. Not doing an every year. Now, obviously, with it's different with Ubisoft because Ubisoft is Ubisoft, and then with Call of Duty, they have like 2 or 3 different companies making Call of Duty studios making Call of Duty games within Activision. But I think it would help. They don't need a Call of Duty every single year because a lot of them, for the most part, are the same. Yeah, they do different things, but it's like you've got your multiplayer game, your campaign, and like your zombies and variations on a theme of that. And so I think they could stand to benefit from taking a little bit more time and innovating on that and making a better game. So
I think you have to be kind of diehard to buy that every year.
yeah. But people
Like
are.
for me, it's I mean, people love it though. People definitely love it.
Yep.
Right. Travesty, he writes, it's good for me as an owner of a Series X. I feel like it will bring new IPs to the console, like World of Warcraft maybe. In a business move, I'm sure Microsoft jumped at the chance for the purchase, just like with Mojang. Sony would have done the same thing. Oh, yeah, it's totally possible. Those companies go very deep and old. They will see a return on investment in a short period of time. I just looked up, and Call of Duty reportedly makes the Warzone. This was as of August 11th, 2021. Reportedly makes $5.2 million a day, which is what Tim Pollen had said.
That's disgusting.
Looks like the overall the Call of Duty franchise makes $2.8 billion a quarter. Like that is.
They're going to get their money back pretty quick.
This is just Call of Duty alone.
Yeah. Wonder how much Candy Crush makes, because that is a huge one that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, that's an overlooked thing.
That is a big
$6
game.
trillion an hour.
Every 30 seconds.
Yeah. All right. Lord Zukor says, with all the work that Overwatch team has put behind making their game multi-platform, I hope that Xbox doesn't backtrack and go exclusive. Do you think Call of Duty and Overwatch will go exclusive? No. I don't think they will.
Nope.
I don't either.
Not in the foreseeable future. Not for the next.
I can
5
see some
years.
of the smaller games, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I see some smaller games, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think they will.
There may be some timed exclusivity.
Yeah, they'll probably be like, hey, how Marvel had Spider-Man in the Marvel's Avengers. They're going to have that exclusive. I think Microsoft will have some of those things. Just small things that it's not going to change the overall game. It's just going to give them exclusives, whether that's timed or content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see Xbox like. There's no way that they could make more money by making it exclusive. I don't see them turning in and doing that and stopping Sony from paying them to have their game. Like, it just.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one we have is from Corey Fouch, aka Smith, which is his birthday today. So happy birthday, Corey!
Happy birthday!
He says, obviously a good move from a business standpoint. Game Pass is going to get even better now, and I'm not sure there's even a close second. Obviously, PS has their service, but I don't think it holds a candle, outside of exclusives, to what Microsoft can do now. I have concerns. Now that they own Activision Blizzard, will they try to put one over on the Steam crowd by taking games made these devs will make it a requirement? Hold on a second. What's he saying over here?
Let me decipher this.
Will they try to put one over on the Steam crowd by taking games made by these devs and make it a requirement to have Game Pass? Okay. In order to play future games, because they won't release it to Steam at all. That's a good question. That's a very good question. And where else would they put it though? That is the biggest. That is where the meat of the PC gaming community is. I don't see them taking it away from Steam. I think
it doesn't seem like they could make more money that way. That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like by taking it away, it just seems like they couldn't. They'd make less money, and they're never going to make that decision.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus with mostly with Xbox games, they come out on PC the same day. So does that also come out on Steam? I'm not a PC gamer, so I'm assuming they also come out on Steam the same day, or is it a different ecosystem?
I would have to look into that. I know Xbox has their own thing, Game Pass for PC and things like that. I would have to see how that works. To be honest, I've only dipped my toe in that.
I'm not I'm not a PC gamer either.
Yeah. Well, that is it. Any final thoughts on the Microsoft and Activision Blizzard merger?
It's going to be okay.
I feel like these things are always exciting. It's like a big sports trade.
Yeah. It's as long as it's not for a bucket of balls. They did this, and it was absolutely insane. It came out of nowhere. I remember when we were talking about the predictions for 2022, or the Game Awards predictions. That's what it was. And I was like, Microsoft's gonna buy Ubisoft, and they're gonna put them on the Game Pass. They didn't really do that. They're like, hey, Ubisoft is coming to Microsoft, but it's coming to it's gonna be a different subscription service.
Yeah.
Never in my wildest dreams would I was like, hey, they're gonna buy Activision Blizzard. Looking back on it, it kind of makes sense. Now that Blizzard, they've
trade makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense. All right. Well, that is it. You know where to find us. We are on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Discord. Check out the show notes. We are all there. And if you can, rate, review, and subscribe. Do all that stuff. And then you can even call us at 929 GMG guys. And I'm really upset that Lucas did not call in, because he's only missed like 3 episodes.
Yeah, we had nothing to ignore.
Usually he sends us a voicemail.
Well, he's got the Transformers virus, so
we did not get a voicemail. So we did not. His voice could not be heard. But you know what could be heard is our music of the week.
Yeah.
Thing.
So who wants to go ahead and share their song? I'm going to let everybody share theirs individually first. So who wants to go first? And I'll share Lucas's, since he gave me his pick.
All right. I will go first, and I am going to put out Trivium, Silence in the Snow.
I will go second, but I also was absolutely unprepared, so I'm only talking right now to stall to find the name. It is
on the spot.
The song I picked is called "Fade Away." It's by Revolution. It's kind of got a whole I don't want to say like a Jamaican beat to it, but almost that kind of like it just has a really, really good beat to it.
Really chill.
It is, and I thought, I was telling Mark earlier, because I sent it to him earlier, I thought it was a happy song. When I first heard like a verse, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Turns out it's actually a really sad song.
Yeah.
But it just does, oddly, it makes you feel good.
There's a lot of songs like that. It's a happy-go-lucky type song, and then you actually read the lyrics, and you're like...
Yeah, the beat's like happy, and you're like, oh, this person is in so much pain.
Oof.
It's like that Christmas song where the guy just won't let that woman leave his house. What is that one?
Oh, Baby It's Cold Outside?
Baby It's Cold Outside.
Yeah, that was
the rapey
like,
song.
Oh, this is a great song. You're like, you sit back and look at the lyrics. You're like, oh no.
They play that still.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I want to leave, but no, don't leave. You can't leave. I'm gonna lock the door.
And then at one point he gets mad. He's like, really? Let her go. Goodness.
Creep.
Oh, yeah, it's all about the delivery. That's all it is.
I suppose. What's the sense in hurting my pride? Yeah. Yeah. So Lucas's pick, which he picked this song because it was the number one song on the day of his birth, is Joan Jett's Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I love rock and roll.
That's a great song, though.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's his turn to pick a cover because that's a cover.
All right.
I
approve.
said I wasn't going to drop factoids, but I did. And my
help yourself.
Yeah. And my pick is so one of my favorite bands from the 80s is a band called The Police. And they have a song called Message in a Bottle. Fantastic song.
Love that one.
It's showcasing classic The Police, rock meets reggae type feel. It's fantastic. So, but yeah, that is it.
All right. Well, that is it for us, for Marc, Ronnie, and the spirit of Lucas Ham. Go get your good morning on. And may God bless and guide your lives as you live, as you work, and as you game.